Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Teacher Talk, where real teachers discuss real issues that are happening within our educational system. I am Dedrick Messenger, and this is
Jackie Collins.
all right. So, Jackie, what we got today?
Okay, so Pastor, my husband kind of ran across this article, and I thought it was good, and I wanted to bring forward this information on Teacher Talk. And also, as you all are looking at this video, I want educators or even non-educators to comment about what really struck you most in it, because I think it makes some very interesting points and some points that are very dear to educators. I think every educator can relate to this. So I'm just going to read it and then I'll let you interject.
Okay.
So the title of it is Meet the 29-year-old teacher with 4 degrees who wants to join the Great Resignation because she's tired of working way above her paycheck.
Oh my goodness.
So she has 4 degrees and she feels like she wants to resign. She wants to move on because she's working way above her paycheck. So first of all, it's going to give you a little bit of background about it, and then I'm going to let you jump in, Pastor. But let me read a little bit. She said, "It felt like a calling. Nina's parents are both teachers in her home country of France, so she's even from France. Her brother is teaching back home too. Her aunts, uncles, even her husband's father is a teacher. It's insane," she tells Fortune, who is the magazine article by. "There was pressure to become a teacher, to say the least, but Nina, 29, she's 29 years old, 4 degrees, says she is passionate about teaching and loves the kids she works so hard to educate. She taught for 2 years in France and has been an English language arts teacher in an Arizona high school since the pandemic started. But she's not sure she can do it much longer. Like many workers in the days of the pandemic, especially teachers, is seeking a career change, but she's not entirely sure where to begin. I just don't want to be a teacher," she says. But I've been in education for so long that I don't feel like I am qualified enough to do anything remotely interesting, even though I have the fire and willingness to work hard. So I'm wondering it doesn't give like what her degrees are in, but that makes me think maybe all of her education may be centered around education, but I'm not sure. The article doesn't state it. So the pandemic, which brought about 2 years of debating how and what to teach kids, fueled a teacher shortage that has put more pressure on staff, intensifying burnout and leading more teachers to search for an exit ramp. The effect is similar to what employees in corporate America face amid layoffs and the Great Resignation, and in which millions of workers have vacated positions and amid continued pandemic fatigue. A National Education Association poll from earlier this year found that 80% of the union's members say job openings have led to more work and obligations, which more than half of the members planning to leave education sooner than they plan. So I think that we both probably working in education have heard people are saying, I think I'm going to retire. That's just the buzz, Right. Nina counts herself amongst them, hoping to follow in the footsteps of the 300,000 teachers and public school staff who have left the profession since the pandemic.
Wow.
So that's just 3 years. You're talking about 100,000 teachers per school year. That's very interesting. Her reasons are plenty. A lack of trust and support. I think we talked about that in one of our sessions, maybe in two. Stress and burnout. I think we talked about that in one, in the first episode that we had. In contending with historic learning loss and depleting staff. So I found that historic learning loss.
Yeah.
So it's a history of it. This loss of learning for children. I thought it would be a high school teacher. I thought it would be a high school teacher for a while, and maybe be a school teacher on a reservation. But no, Nina says, I don't think it would be good for me to be a high school teacher my whole life. Essentially, every time I'm frustrated with my job, I go on Indeed.
Oh, man. That's the job site, right?
That's the job site that people are searching for jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip a little bit and read this portion. It says, like many teachers across the country, Nina had to give credit and pass along students who are far behind high school reading levels to the next grade.
Oh.
Do you feel like that's going on in the education system?
I really do.
Many teachers across the country giving high school credit and just having to pass along students.
Mm-hmm.
And when do you think that started? Do you think that started when No Child Left Behind came about? Because I remember growing up, if you didn't pass, you didn't pass. They just left you in the same grade. But now it seems like everybody just move on and move on.
Well, I think a lot of things contributed to it. Parents not wanting their kids to be left behind. Mm-hmm. And because we've had some students that, oh man, they did not have one passing grade at all, but the parent pushed for them to go to the next grade.
That's
and
awful.
They took what's going to take us to the board, and say they're going to sue the school, but yet they push their kid to the next grade level. And when do you want to fight those fights? Most teachers say no. So you know what they do? Most administrators say no. So you know what they do? They just send them on out. And a lot of times especially when you're in block education, let's say your elementary school, K-5, you got a fifth grader, he's giving you trouble, he ain't doing anything, and you spend half of your day in the classroom trying to keep him from doing this or her from doing this and that. So you know what, at the end of the year, a lot of teachers are just pushing these kids through based on, behavior issues too. They say, hey man, let's get him out of this school, because if I'm a K-5 school and I got that kid, he's out of our school. If I'm a 7 through 8, if I'm a 6 through 8 middle school, he's 8th grader, he's out of the school.
Right.
If he's a high schooler, he's out of the school. You see what I'm saying?
Just passing the problem on.
That's right.
Really,
we've been, and that's exactly what we've been doing.
Which
we've been
creates
passing
a big education gap.
Right, right.
When you think about kids that are not that know the basic stuff in elementary school, and then they go to middle school, and you're trying to teach them some.
Yeah, but you know what worried me the most about this? I'm a pastor, A lot of us go into ministry and stuff that people are depending on us, but yet we came through a failing system. And we didn't learn anything ourselves. And now we're supposed to be teaching people, and we still don't have a mindset to learn because we didn't get it right here. If it's very rare, Sister Jackie, that if I didn't study in high school, that I'm going to study as an adult. And I'm saying this is why we're not. Let me say it like this: we're not producing positive, productive citizens when we do stuff like this. Let me say it like that.
I agree. I 100% agree, because if you don't have to do it when you're young and you don't create that good work ethic, whether it's doing your schoolwork every night and studying and making good grades, if you're not creating it while you're young, then guess what's going to translate when you get 18, 19, 20? It's just going to translate.
And this is why we're building more prisons than we're building schools now. Because of this right here. And we know this. And we're like, we're going to make the money back in the long run based on the fact that we know that this third grade thing that we got right now, I don't know if every school in Tennessee got it, I don't know or not. I
think it's a state thing.
Retaining third grade students if they're not proficient on the test and all this. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to retain them. But what's going to happen is then after you retain them so many times, you're going to get into social promotion. They're too old to be right here again. So you got to move them on anyway, regardless of what they know. And the schools are not built to retain 50+% of your students in a grade level. It's not. You think about it, Suzuki. Whatever grade level you teach, just take whatever grade out of it and say we're going to keep 50% of those students back.
That's merely impossible.
It's impossible. Am I right? It is. That's what I'm saying.
And remember, we talked about, and I guess this is where this 19%. Remember, Dr. Phil had that show,
Right.
and we talked about that. And 19% of the students are graduating from high school, and they can't even read.
Yes.
And this is what's creating that 19%. Those kids are going into that percentage because they just passing them on and on.
I believe that number is going to go up.
I bet it's already up. I think that data was from 3 or 4 years ago.
Really? Oh, well, most definitely then. It will go up.
Especially since the pandemic.
Since the pandemic, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm an elementary teacher, and I'm seeing that throughout our system, and other systems also we've heard of, that the students are like in the third grade, but they're really on a first or second grade level.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them are on kindergarten level, based on what kind of home front they're coming from or who's helping them or anything like that. A lot of factors, but right. They're not where they should be based on the fact that these are the things right here that's going on right here.
Then she talked about this, which we had a session on it last week or so. It says, then there's the school administration.
Yeah.
She says she feels patronized, undervalued, and not trusted constantly. And then school is so short-staffed that she's been forced to teach special education classes, which makes me think she is not qualified to teach special education classes because she states that she's forced to teach those classes.
I can agree with her. Being a part of the teachers union and if a steel worker can say that's not my job description and they won't put him in it because of the union, we ought to have something that will bag us up on that. And I think a lot of us don't have unions. We have associations. So you can't strike, you can't do all these things, and you got so many people that are not a part of it, and there's no solidarity, first of all. But I myself would not even feel comfortable, going into a science classroom and saying you're going to be the science teacher when I'm a math teacher. That just wouldn't be. Hey, and the thing about it is, we got people like this teaching AP classes that's supposed to be sending these kids, they're supposed to be getting college credits on these things, and next thing you know, they're passing these students along, but yet they're not teaching them. Because if I take an AP class and they say, well, okay, you got, whatever, biology 101 through high school. Well, if they throw me in biology 2 when I first get to college, I'm going to struggle. And you're wondering why I'm not making this grade, and I ain't never heard of this. And the teacher said, well, you should have learned this in biology 1. It's just a continuation.
Right.
And the terms that they're using should be simple, just like going from elementary school to middle school. Your ABC shouldn't be something we have to teach again. Your multiplication is something we don't have to teach again.
Right.
Just a few things, But what this is what's happening here. Oh man, that's that right there. That kind of scratches me, rubs me the wrong way. Let me say it like that. When they say, well, you're just this kind of teacher and you need to teach this. I'm quick to tell people, hey man, that's not my specialty. Right. I had you called me a highly qualified teacher because I passed my specialty area test. Now you want to put me over here and evaluate me. Now watch this now. You want to evaluate me as a science teacher when I'm highly qualified as an English teacher. Right. And then you want to tell me, well, you didn't cut it. But this is not my specialty area.
I was just trying to help y'all out.
Right.
Well, I can certainly relate to the part where she was saying she feel undervalued.
Yeah, I can too.
I mean, because it's like they ask you to do so much and you try to do that and then they want more and more and more. And then when it comes time, they put a pay raise on the table. It's like, no, we can't give them a raise.
Can't do that. Yeah.
We cannot give them a raise. Yeah. So,
but let me jump in there. So let me put a disclaimer in there because I understand where she's coming from. But it's unfortunate that she's in a school system or a school that makes her feel this way. But some schools, you feel valued. I really feel valued at school I'm at.
Okay.
Let me say that. I mean, I'm more of a father figure in the school to the kids.
I think she's talking about adult to adult.
But that's what I'm trying to say now.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying to the kids. But yet I'm a mentor to so many teachers.
Okay.
And they depend on my wisdom and who I am when they have problems. They will find their way to my room and they would talk. Even the administration values me for who I am. First as a man of God. I'm going to say that because I stand tall on that, just like anybody else stand on tall of who they want to be in their identity.
Right.
I stand tall on the fact that I am a man of God and this is who I am and this is who I'm going to represent.
Right.
But the key is that you value me. I think the value, that's the value. Dr. Messenger, man, I need you to pray for me. When the administration comes, say, man, I'm struggling right here. I don't know how to handle this teacher this way. What should I do? Because I'm going to tell you something. One thing we have to understand is that, I don't want to get off subject, but the key is that just because we have a title don't mean we know it all. And you have to figure out who has the strength in the clan, let me say that, to say that this is who I can go to.
I agree. Makes the links stronger and more connected when you find your strengths and connect them. Yeah. I think her point of undervalued is, don't force me to teach special.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You didn't value who I was as an educator, so
don't force me to teach something out of my discipline.
You throw me in
You
there.
can't just do that to me. I don't know anything about
you might want to
that.
send me down to the cafeteria because you know what, man, I can do some grilled cheese sandwiches, but don't start with this chicken and macaroni and all this other stuff y'all cooking. Who cooked this? That's what somebody's gonna say. This is not nourishing.
Okay, let me read a little bit further. She says they're asking, this explains a little bit about what they're asking her. She said they're asking us to do things that are way above our paycheck, says Nina, who holds 2 master's degrees in Native American Studies and American Studies plus 2 bachelor's degrees. Oh, so that's where her 4 degrees come in. She said, I am not a special education teacher, and I am not paid like one. I don't know what that means because I thought everybody's on the same.
Maybe they get some perks, but Jack, there's some things these special education teachers do. If you ask me to do it, I'll walk out of school because I ain't paid to do that.
Well, you're not trained as well, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But still,
I
I didn't go into special ed because I didn't want to do that. That's what I tell people all the time. I don't teach in high schools because I can't do that. I can't tolerate that.
Okay, let's move on. She said, looking for the right next career has become almost a hobby these days. So she's actively looking because you do a hobby. Sometimes you do that every day. She says she finds herself drawn to nonprofit work, the political or advocacy sphere, even something still in education or academic, anything but teaching. Wow. I want to use my skills that I spent so much of my time learning and that brought me here to the U.S., Nina says. I came to the U.S. to work with Native American people and work for environmental rights. It happened for a little bit when I was doing my PhD program, but the pandemic happened and lack of funding happened, so here I am. Okay, feeling stuck with no way out. This is what she said. Teaching can be a comfortable gig. I think that's what people look on the outside and say that.
That's what the problem is right there. because that should be profession. You see what I'm saying? Everybody has a profession. You see what I'm saying? Everybody has a career. But we got a gig. My buddy get gigs, they play trumpets, after their job.
Hold on, I think she explains it. Let me read further. I didn't want to read off because I wanted to be surprised at some of it too. She said that's what Nina's parents always preached. Okay, her parents were saying it. The time off and job security. I mean, that's how people look at it. But the time
there ain't no
off,
job security in teaching no more.
But you need that time off. There is no way. I'm like, waiting on a break sometime. I'm like, oh
but
Lord,
let me say
something
this, though,
has to give. Let me add this, especially when we were in pandemic, when everybody was out, like so many teachers were ill. You're like, oh my God, wait, I can't wait till Friday when you got 15 teachers out, 18 teachers out, and they're putting us back in the home, and they're bringing us back into school. Something has to give. So you need that time off, and not look at it like, oh, you don't need that time off because other people work year round, but you don't work with kids year round.
But and the thing about it is, I don't get paid year round. I have to save my own money. Hey, you can take 3 months off. Mm-hmm. Save your money. You're off in the summer. Well, you can be off in the summer. Till you come to you got family leave. Take you a couple months, man. Save your money.
Okay. She doesn't want to get too comfortable, though a colleague of hers has a PhD and told her he started teaching just to pay the bills, but fell into the trap and has been teaching much longer than originally planned. But part of that could be you probably really enjoyed. Okay. Mm-hmm. But Nina is unsure at this point how to navigate such a career change. While she's got 4 degrees under her belt in her expertise, that for all intents and purpose exceeds the scope of her current job. Nina's worried that if she waits too long, the PhD she acquired in 2018, so she does have a PhD, will become all but irrelevant. Okay, I want to skip down to this part. Well, let me read this. She said, and she doesn't want to get stuck in an endless job search. A colleague somewhat jokingly told her recently they'd been looking for a career change for 15 years. I just kind of felt, I don't want to be her, Nina says. So she said she's turned down jobs. She said she's going to stay as long as she can until she finds something. But Pastor, I wanted to ask you, what suggestion do you have for teachers that are feeling like this? Because if she's 29, she hasn't been in this field too long.
My first suggestion would be, don't get all these degrees while you're feeling like this. Because it's a waste of time and money. Because she didn't just start feeling like this. She was going through school feeling like this. You see what I'm saying? Right. So you got to know. I tell people, maybe you need to test the water before you start investing in any career. It's anything that you would do. My dad always said, you need to count up the cost, son, before you invest in this. Right. Are you going to do this? Being one that teach and have another profession on the side. Sometimes I think, hey, my thing I say all the time, if I had known this skill before I done this with teaching, I would have never came into teaching. Mm-hmm. But because I've invested so much time into it, 20 plus years, 25 plus years, here I am. It's not that I'm stuck, but I would be a fool to walk away when the retirement is so close. Mm-hmm. So that's not something that I have to worry about. But I knew that when I started investing in EDDs and master degrees and stuff like that I'm going to stay in this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stay in this. And I'm not going to say, see, this guy right here say he stayed in it, her husband. Well, because it's not that the money is just that bad. Mm-hmm. It's just the conditions are bad.
That was a colleague of hers.
Yeah, okay. No, colleague.
Just a colleague.
Just a colleague. Okay.
He got in it to pay the bills. Yeah.
He started paying the bills and he found out that the money was paying the bills. But then he got caught up in it. And I think, a lot of times we start biting off more and more and more, and the money just don't come. I think it's a discipline when it comes to that, but that's a whole new story we can talk about, teacher pay. But what would I tell her? Okay. I would tell her to take a step back and reevaluate. What she's really trying to get out of this, because what she's really trying to get out of it may be right there, and she's going about it the wrong way. We go into teaching, And sometimes we like, hey man, this ain't working, this ain't working, this work. We can be so dogmatic about our approaches sometimes that we cannot even step back and let somebody else tell us how to walk through it. And we want to be trying to run through it. And we don't listen. I wonder if she's a good listener. You know, I wonder if she's willing to let somebody mentor her in this. I wonder if she somebody that comes in and will say, I need help. I'm about to be there because she's too young in the field of education to be feeling all this, which tells me that she's a loner. Because most of the time, if I got a mentor, and I want to bag up a little bit with that, I had some 40-year teachers when I first started teaching to hold my hand. And I remember Miss Ida Thomas, and I know I can say her name because she was a 42-year teacher. She was a 42-year teacher, and she said, "Whatever you do, don't let them make you quit, because time's gonna get hard. They're gonna come down on you." I was in one of them systems where they hired one minority per year, and I was that minority that year. They got hired. She said, "Don't make you quit. They're gonna come after you. They're gonna do this." You know, I had that person. You know what? When things got hard, she seemed that my countenance wasn't there. Hey, son, let me talk to you for a second. See, those were the people that was around me. You see what I'm saying? And then they taught me when somebody else walking here, I need you to take my role. So what happens is now with teachers like this, they walk into a school and nobody ever embraces them. She's just a new teacher. Right. You down on the corner by yourself. You didn't know what kind of program it was or what to do. You didn't know that we was having a sing-along today. You didn't know that we were giving money for whatever. We didn't know we was having a dinner served to us down in the cafeteria for all teachers free. You didn't know any of that because nobody came to you.
Right.
But what I'm telling her to do, the first thing she need to do, she need to connect herself with a seasoned teacher. That would be her first thing.
What about changing her environment? Maybe go to a different school.
And that's what I was coming to next. You know, maybe you need to teach at a different level. You know, or
she's in high school.
Teach
so
high school. If you go to high school, go down the middle. If you can't handle middle, go down to elementary. If you can't handle elementary, they got primary schools. You know, and sometimes public education may not be the place for you. You may need to go to a private sector where things are a little less stringent. You know, it's just so many things that she can do. To be 29, 28? 29 years old was telling me she probably got about 9 years in. Right. At the most. You know, graduating at 21, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. 9 years, that's a third of your career. If you graduate, if you retire in 30 years, that's a third of your time in the system. Almost. So you're a vested teacher, according to where you're at. But the key is that, I don't know, you know, the question would be what kind of attitude does she have? Who is she? You know, how does she approach things? How does she handle adversity? You know, because the harder it gets for me, Sister Jackie, you know, I've been taught when the going get tough, the tough get going. And so when adversity come to me, you know, hey man, I stand up strong, and I'm not the one to tuck my tail and run. But so many people can't handle that.
Maybe she needs to get connected with the leadership that understands more, because sometimes, you know, you have all these administrators in a building, and sometimes you have that like that lead teacher or a department head in there. Maybe she needs to connect also with someone of that nature, or get with that AP that really understands and value you as a teacher. You know, I'm sure they're asking her to do some of this, like teach special education, because there's a great need there and we don't have anyone. Yeah. But maybe if she comes up with an idea, sometimes it's like taking the idea to them and say, hey, you know, let's spread this across and let some other teachers kind of come in and help with this as well, because I don't feel like I'm the best fit for this. I'm not that strong in this area. Just opening up and kind of telling the leadership, this is where I am. How can you all help?
All right, let me ask this question, because I'm just thinking, you know, out loud here. Now, she could be arrogant. No. Let me say this now.
We're going to end this session.
No. Let me say this. And the reason I say this.
I don't get that.
No. Let me say this. She said, now go back to the title again. and I'm going this route based on this because I've seen this. This is what it says. 29-year-old teacher with 4 degrees. And she said, I want to quit.
She's telling you what the
I
issues
understand
are.
but listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying, so Jackie. I've seen doctor degrees change people. I've seen education
you
endeavors.
have your doctor degree.
But you know what? It didn't change me. I'm still gonna be me. You know, hey, it's it, man. Some people, man, want more. But people will try to get you to change and say you need to be this. You need to be called doctor. You need to be this. 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 I'm just saying.
That's big in some districts.
That's big in some districts.
They just call
really
you
don't
on your
care.
first name.
That's right, first name. So she could be one of those people that can't handle, the authority that she has. I'm just saying this, because we have to look at this. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, and when you one of those people, the first thing they do is put you somewhere you don't want to be.
Right.
To get you out of a school.
So that's why I said maybe she needs an environment.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said that, because you never know that, because we've had some teachers that we're like, man, and she just so arrogant, man. She wasn't like that before she got a master's degree. She wasn't like that before she got a doctorate degree. She just straight changed. I'm doctor now. You better call me this. You can't call them Mr. and Mrs. no more. Things change.
Here we have an article about a teacher who needs help, and he didn't turn on the teacher.
No, I didn't turn on it. No, I didn't. I didn't turn on it. I'm just saying. So Jackie, and the reason I say this, college professors, they do the same thing.
Yes.
You can't call them Mr. or Mrs. It's got to be doctor.
Or professor.
You see what I'm saying? They got to be, that title of endearment goes to some people's head. And a lot of folks say, man, you know what? I'll be glad when I finish this class with them. Right. A lot of the colleagues say, I don't want to mess with you no more because you can't be told anything. You know people like that, so Jackie, you know you do. So don't sit here and say you don't. and don't think that, just because they wrote this article on this girl, we're trying to make it feel that she's under a great attack or something. But it's not always that. Sometimes we dig our own graves. And in leadership, when you get these degrees, you got to understand, too much is given, much is required. So you have to understand that there are so many other things that people are expecting of you now because they call you doctor. No, I'm just understand. You don't even know this, man. Doctor, what do you think, man? Why are you asking me this? That's not my area of space. They think you should know. But 29. And she, I'm looking at this, 29 years old. She's really, really put her nose to the grind to educate herself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I find that a lot of times when you put your nose to the grind of that sort, you have not really focused on anybody else giving you any direction, because it's all about you and you're going to where you want to go, and there's not a lot of people giving you direction. And now you're in a environment where people are telling you what to do as opposed to you was telling yourself all you needed to do. And that could be more serious talk. That could be that's what I'm saying. I'm going to take the word arrogant out. That could be one of the mishaps of her attitude, that she cannot adjust to these things because it's been all about her. And think about this, Jackie, before we end. We grow in empathy and compassion every year. We should. Am I right? As teachers. Every year, am I right?
Should.
We grow in it. We see things, when we first started teaching, you didn't even recognize some of this stuff. And now we're talking about, man, you know what, that kid right there, man, she needs help. Let me go over there and embrace that child. She just needs a hug. She needs to. We have grown in that because we're seasoned teachers. But somebody helped us get there. And when you got your nose to the ground and you're trying to get that education, man, you just pounding and you don't hear anything but yourself until you get it. And then one day you wake up and you go, man, you know what? I'm still me. Doctor, whoever, I'm still me. Don't nobody, where my friends at? We walk away from you because you was acting a fool. You didn't hear us.
He's a little hard on this teacher, but he has some good suggestions. So
I don't want to be hard on it. I just want to be. Sometimes we have to bring out that negative aspect of how people behave when they're in things like this.
That's true.
Because just because when I say 4 degrees, man, she's really been had her head just straight in the books.
Right.
It's hard to listen to
It's a
somebody
lot of
when you're
work,
trying to do
yeah.
that. It's a lot of work. She been focused on what she wants to focus on, and now she's saying, "Now I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to do." Because first thing she said, "You got me doing something I don't supposed to do."
So we talked about solutions or suggestions for her is to see if she's open to listening to different options, I guess, or suggestions from other people. Maybe she could look at an environment change or, go speak to her leadership, go speak to an administrator. So we want to hear from you. Put in the comments, what suggestions do you have for this teacher who is 29 years old? She has 4 degrees and she's thinking about leaving the teaching profession. Of course she has some things that are a little bit challenging. Teaching outside her discipline is a little bit challenging. Passing kids along when they really did not pass on their own. So there's some challenges there, but let us know what suggestions in the comment section that you have for us.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening. Until next time, this is Teacher Talk. We will see you soon. Listen, comment, like, and subscribe.
Amen. Leave your comments. Thank you. Our opinions are not from any institution that we teach it from or who we are affiliated with. This is solely our opinions. I just want y'all to know that. So leave us a comment. Don't ask if that bag gonna be big enough because I'll be acting today.